everyone. Welcome back. Today, I talked with Paulina, a VFX artist working at Totara, based in Lithuania. We dug into her unique journey from QA at Unity to discovering VFX, which she describes as love at first sight, and how her diverse background in drawing, 3D modeling, and even coding all came together in visual effects. We talked about the practical side of getting started. We both agreed that, for the beginning, node-based tools like shader graphs, VFX Graph, and other node-based tools are faster and might be even more rewarding for results, instead of just diving right into coding languages like HLSL or GLSL. However, we also stressed why understanding performance and optimization is a non-negotiable skill, especially for a professional career. But it is indeed a fine line to navigate that. So if you're curious, 100% recommend this episode to you. Although I have to warn you, there's a lot of philosophical talk in this episode, and it's mostly from my side. But if you enjoy that stuff and you enjoy listening to me, it's one of those episodes, then this one is for you. All right, I hope you enjoy. Hello, Paulina. How's it going today?
Hello.
Hey.
So good to be here.
Absolutely. Welcome to the podcast. I wanted to ask you if you could introduce yourself to people who maybe don't know you.
Yeah, sure. So hello, everyone. My name is Paulina. I'm a visual effects artist currently working now at Totara. And I am based in Vilnius, Lithuania. Some of my recent projects were Invincible VS by Skybound. I've also worked with Riot Games on Valorant, making environment effects there. Mm-hmm. Let's see, I also worked with some indie studios before, and also I've spent 5 years working at Unity, mostly doing QA, but at the end, this is where my passion started for visual effects. This is where I found it. So I was working as a content curator for Asset Store, and I don't know, I just found visual effects, and it was love at first sight, I would say.
Awesome. Which do you still remember that one effect that you saw? Do you still pull it as a reference every now and then?
No. But I mean, I was viewing a lot of work from other people, but for some reason, I really did not understood what visual effects were, and for me, visual effects for some reason were shaders and not particle systems.
Yeah.
Even though I worked with the Unity engine and everything, but for me, visual effects are like shaders.
Yeah.
So I actually started my journey by just picking up a shader course at Udemy. So that was my first, touch with visual effects, I guess.
Yeah, and shaders are a huge topic, right? What are we talking? HLSL, or are we talking shader graph?
Exactly.
Okay, so, but that's such a skill that not a lot of people can master or find it difficult to even start with, because it's creative coding, basically.
Yeah.
So where and how did you find yourself thinking it was interesting? Did you do coding before, or did you do maybe shaders on the side or something maybe similar?
Well, the first contact, I would say it was one of my coworkers. They did a presentation just for us, for the office, talking about shaders and how everything was rendered in triangles and everything. And
Cool.
He explained vertices and everything. And I was okay, that is pretty cool. I myself, I sort of enjoyed coding a little bit because I did it at university, but it was I never went full coding or full this techie side, because I always enjoy the artistic side of it. And with shaders, it's cool because you can write something and then you actually see the result, and the result is usually more pretty than just some physics stuff, I would say.
It's also extremely rewarding. I just got myself to start with HLSL, and I could tell you in 2 days I was able to read it, and just reading it and changing a couple of parameters felt like modding some type of a game, because I come from the shader graph, this Unreal Material node based stuff, and just having to be able to do the same in code and knowing it's 100%, not 100%, but it is actually way more performative than shader graphs. So I guess the question to you is what do you think is the easiest way to get into HLSL shader programming?
Easiest way? I don't think there is an easy way, really. Exactly. I mean, you just have to go and start somewhere. But I do recommend picking up some easy courses. I don't know, I love Udemy, especially when you get that ridiculous discount of 80 % or something.
Yeah.
By the way, not sponsored.
Yeah, no, not sponsored.
yeah. But yeah, you just have to start somewhere. But I don't know, if you're getting into visual effects, don't start there. Don't be like me, because I started there because I didn't know better. But once I started to use shader graphs, I honestly did not look back. I mean, I had to sometimes when I was working at the indie game studio, but right now, my everyday job does not require that. And honestly, I wouldn't want to go back to that because it is pretty difficult.
It's interesting that you don't even recommend people to start there. I wonder why.
Because I feel maybe if you come from a coding background, then yeah, but if you're just completely new to the development, I think it can be really overwhelming just to start from actually coding stuff, because with the nodes it's sort of similar but faster, and you see the results faster. So at the start, I think it's really important that you get the reward instantly, just to keep you going and keep you learning more.
Yeah.
Unless you're a bit I don't know, extreme, and you really want to sit down and debug stuff and really into maybe more into math and I don't know, programming, then yeah, maybe that is your path. But I think for the majority, shader graph is the easiest path, really.
Yeah, it's like a procedural Photoshop, right? That's how I like to describe it a lot, where you could do procedural animation of the layers and the blendings and all kind of stuff. You can always go deeper and get more complex shader knowledge. I think I agree with you with the sense of get to know the node based first if you have no background in coding. The only thing I don't advise people to do, I guess because of my experience, is to only depend on the graph, because you will be hired on projects where they will tell you, well, we really love the look that you're pulling off here, but it's almost not almost, but it is not doable for us to use that shader. It's pretty, but it's not performative. We can't put that in a mobile game and expect it to be extremely performative. So where's the line, I guess? What would you, at which point would you say to beginners, get into HLSL?
Oof, really hard to say. I mean, I feel if you have done a proper a couple of portfolio pieces, maybe then start to dive into that, or just even watching just a couple of short videos would help you, or at least learn how to read the code. That's, I guess, the minimum. And then you can just go go and edit. And even maybe if you get hired, especially in the specific workflows that requires that, I'm sure they would be sort of okay with you understanding that you can at least read the shader, and then you can just experiment and just go on deeper and deeper while you're working. Really,
I agree with that. I think a lot of the teams have a lot of empathy to you, and if you're a person they really wanted to work with, they would try their best to work with, right? The thing, it's a really tough question, and I agree with you on that. I think the answer to it is if you can pull the effect, if you can pull it off, learning the optimization at a later point, I think is more forgiving. On the contrary, if you, let's say, have been learning optimization only and you don't know how to pull the effects together, I think that is a hard no for the job. You wouldn't be hired, because your job is to feel what is needed from you to be added in the game in terms of juice, right? Effects, juice, feel. If you don't have that, but yet you have the technical knowledge, I think a better job for you would be just tech art in that sense then, right? I would think, at least.
Yeah, I agree. But also for some reason, in my journey, I even bought an optimization book, and I learned pretty early on how engines work just in general, and also the graphics part.
Yep.
And later on, that really, really helped me. So if you're somebody who's listening and really want to start go into visual effects, I really recommend also like picking up some of the game optimization books, just like for you to like overall understand like what is going under the hood in the whole game engine in general, because it will really help with the optimization of the effects later on.
Do you know the name of the book by any chance?
No. I think it was really like called like I think like Unity game optimization. I think
All right,
it was just
check
like
it out.
it was like a really thick book. I think they have like newer editions now, but they talk about draw calls and like rendering and occlusion, batching and stuff. So some of like some small details.
How early in your career would you say you got that book and it helped you over time? Would you say like that was early on, or is it something you had like 2 years ago, for example?
No. I didn't even like work, I would say, like professionally work as a visual effects artist, because like I actually like I am completely self-taught, like just from the like YouTube and everything, and I was learning for around, I would say, a period of 3 years, like just in my free time. I wasn't like actively like going and looking for a job, but just like on my free time I would just like spend a couple of hours a day or just like learning stuff. And then when I decided like also it was like bad in the plague times, as I would say. So I didn't like want to do like crazy like career jumps and everything. So it was just like slow learning.
I think we skipped over it real quick, like, but what was your background before you started with effects, before you fell in love with it, right? Like what did you study? What was your journey?
Okay, so I studied multimedia and computer design, and we had a couple of game development courses, but they weren't that good. So I wouldn't say like I've learned a lot from them, but like just a general like information about how content is made, like how microphones work, how like films are made. Like I have a general information of everything, but nothing really specific. And I had some coding and some physics and some math. So it was like a jumble of everything, really.
So you probably landed in QA, right? Very quick.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So I was studying, and at the same time I got a job at Unity, and it was like a student position, junior test engineer. Basically, we used to talk with users and then test out the bugs in the engine, and then just like do some more testing and fill out bug reports. And I was doing that. Then I got promoted into a QA lead, so I was like managing people. And then since I was studying and also like working as a lead, I got a little bit overwhelmed. I got some panic attacks, some anxiety, some mental stuff happened, like honestly a huge meltdown. So I decided to move into another position, which is like closer to my heart, which is like more art. So I moved to asset store, and then like the effects began. But before that, I would say I also went into this, like, I don't know, there were like different phases. So there was like the 3D modeling phase that I like really tried to get into, and like modeling, it never stuck to me. Then it was the concept art stage. So like I used to draw a lot. Then there was like graphic design and illustration, which is sort of like similar to concept design, but different. But like I was going in circles and like nothing stuck to it. But when I tried out visual effects, it was like, oh, I can like do 3D modeling, I can also draw, I can also like program, and it's like everything that I did just sort of like come into, I don't know, to aid me really. And I don't know.
This puts a smile on my face, because that is exactly how I got introduced to effects. I was also doing 3D modeling, animations, but I couldn't find that thing that really, you should do this now, Jack. I liked it, but I didn't like it too much to do it as a career. But then like that one thing that was pulling from all this knowledge, which were effects, was so interesting. And I think the cool thing about effects is how forgiving it is, in the sense of like, if you find yourself this month being really interested in game development, for example, or optimization or whatever, it all lands in the same skill, no matter what. But like, if you're a 3D modeler and you're wasting your time literally learning about optimization and draw calls, which might help you here and there, but it does not help you as much as it helps you as an effects artist, I feel.
Yeah, that's true.
All right. So you mentioned frustration and being frustrated with the job, right? Like, how do you avoid that these days?
Right now, like, I don't know. I understood what works for me, like what is important for me in my day-to-day job, and it's obviously like creating cool, like working on cool projects. But what is the most important thing is like actually having a cool team and coworkers that you can like share, and the whole collaborative process. I really just enjoy working with people. So I guess like get good coworkers if you can, right? Or at least like get some people that you really vibe with. And I think like working at Tuatara, we're all like remote workers. I mean, we have an office in Canada, but it's just like a few people. But I feel like Tuatara has like such a good screening process of people that we're also like similar and we really vibe together. And
That's
it's just
nice.
like always so nice to work with just like really anybody. It's just like a lot of fun.
It does sound like the dream job to have as an effects artist, like to work remotely, to learn from each other. That's actually a question I've had about Tuatara. Is it that you? I didn't hear this anywhere, right? It's just a question, basically.
Yeah.
Do you have a regular meetings, maybe twice a year, where you just sit down and you teach each other's, or is that more regular, or is it something that never happened?
Teach each other?
Yeah, like something you learned or something that you found online or whatever.
Actually, like we have a lot of like this like learning center where we constantly put up tutorials by people.
Oh, cool.
And we also have like a huge like Unreal library with all of the visual effect techniques, and we usually share them on like social media. So like if you have seen like some of
I've seen it.
posts. Yeah. So like we learned from that. Like these are techniques that we usually use also like in our work. And so there's always something going on. I also used to do like these feedback sessions, and we are thinking about reviving them, where we would just like go jump on there, share our personal work, and just get feedback.
Yeah.
So like we're all growing together. Wow. And like Tuatara offers like plenty space to grow, and it is like really a dream job. And I live in Vilnius, Lithuania. It's a small country.
Yeah.
The game industry is not here, but I can still work on amazing projects just like from my home. I don't know, it's great.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like a really like a dream job, especially that you get to work on projects that you're good at mostly, right? That's basically the premise of the outsourcing. Okay, remotely. You mentioned that you work remotely. How does that work? What are the pros and the cons, would you say?
So pros, you work at home, you don't have to commute anywhere, and you can, I don't know, cook at home. I really love to cook at home and just like keep the healthy lifestyle. So it really helps. Apart from that, I think like the cons, you do have to put in effort to go outside. So like I would say like having hobbies outside or just going out with friends like really helps, because you're sitting at home the whole day. And I know it's not for everybody, but I guess like you do have to put in extra effort just to socialize, like face to face. That's one thing. Another thing, if you're working with a client that is in a different time zone, that means usually you have to adjust to that. It's usually like not required of us, but like still, like getting direct feedback from the client is always important. So sometimes you do have to, I don't know, sacrifice like a few evenings just so that you could jump on a meeting. But I don't know, like sometimes that is not an issue, because everything can be recorded these days. And
true.
So usually you would also receive a feedback video where somebody is just going through your work. I guess these are the biggest cons. But like for me, general as a person, I think like these are like such a small things, and just working from home, like I don't know, the pros definitely outweigh the cons for sure.
I absolutely feel you. Like I also work from home. I've been working from home, I think, for the last 3 years, and also different time zones with different teams. Sometimes I found the different time zones to be very effective in the sense of like, I could prepare questions beforehand, and then I would post them right before I would go. And then the next day, the people, for example, in the US are working on the game. And so I sleep, and overnight I come to the Discord, and then I have my tasks ready, right? Because I've already like handed in some assets, and they tested them. And then they're like, hey, that didn't work. So I feel like that time difference, I feel like people should look at it more as an advantage point in the sense of like the production is 24/7 instead of just like 12 or 8 or whatever it is. Like when you're sleeping, the others are working, and it's, I feel like it's an advantage point.
Yeah, but you do have to plan. You do have to plan ahead sometimes. If you have questions or something, then just like prepare something for the others or something.
I think though, like you're hitting the nail on its head. Like it's all about planning when you're working remotely. A lot of the stuff fall on your desk, especially when it comes to, all right, so what happens after work, right? Because if you didn't plan anything on the weekend or whatever, it is really hard to differentiate when it's working time and when it's not working time anymore. And so you end up just either working all the time or just being home all the time, which also equals you working all the time. So I agree with you there on the planning for sure.
Yeah.
So if effects is a language, right? Because before you were like saying effects are very, like it took you some time to wrap your head around it, correct?
Yeah, I would say so.
If it's a language, what's the grammar?
Oh, yo. That's a difficult question.
I agree.
What's the grammar?
Let's think about it together. It's not all on you. I think color, use of color is a grammar. Contrast is a big
so the
one too.
the basics, right?
Yeah, it's like a language, right? When do you use where and like how, right? How to say, what else is there? I mean, the main grammar is optimization and usability.
Bread and butter. Right.
Pretty much. But like if it's a language, right? When you were learning a language, you first start with the alphabets. I'm wondering what the alphabets are for effects, game effects especially. I would say timing is more like a grammar thing. Alphabet. Let's see.
Maybe just like the small component. Maybe like just modeling. Maybe like the softwares and everything.
That's a good one. Yeah. Softwares or modeling or particles, I think, because it's the tools then. The alphabets are the tools. That's a good one. Yeah. What are the words then? The different techniques, you would think? Like,
yeah, that would work for sure.
Yeah. And then the grammar would be the fundamentals, which are like performance, art style, artistic, or animations. Oh, there's so many foundations with effects. I can go on and on forever. All right. So what's like one myth do you think people don't get about effects?
One myth. I don't really hear about much myths, I would say. Maybe some people think that it's easy.
Oh.
I don't know.
Oh,
I don't know. Like, oh no, you know what is a myth?
What?
Maybe that, I don't know.
Say it.
No, because like sometimes I would just like do like a simple, particle system and everyone is like blown away. Like, why? Like you made this fire and everything. I'm like, it's just a fire, guys. It's just like a particle system. It's like, I don't know. It's like not that difficult. But for some reason, like for some people, it's just like, oh, you have to tweak stuff and I don't know, you just have to go into details. And some people absolutely hate it. And I've met so many people like working that hate particle systems in general.
Wow, okay.
And I'm like, what? It's just the greatest thing ever. Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, I agree. I also agree with the sentiment of like, it's not all particle systems. Like, not every game would need particle systems, right? Like a river, when you're making a river, you might need like the particle systems, and where the river, for example, is hitting a rock or the waterfall is falling, and you need some splashes. But otherwise, it's just planes, right? Yeah,
especially in environment effects. And for example, I worked on Valorant, and it was mostly environment effects. I did some skins, but like my focus was on environment effects. And actually, I think I've only like touched the particle systems only like two times maybe or something. Everything is made out of meshes or like stacked cards that you like with the shader, like you make a particle system. Basically, you animate those cards. Yeah. So everything. Like mostly environment effects uses like materials and no particle systems. Yeah,
not as much, at least not super complex particle system like you would do in an attack or whatever, or like a defense thing. But I think the most complex one could be dust system or something like this, or like maybe clouds. But they're very subtle. Like they're very subtle. It's mostly shader work, like you mentioned.
Yeah.
it's the beauty of it is that each game has its own beauty, right? Like if it's a 3D game or if it's a 2.5D game, or like one of the games that we were watching on your with your work, like in the background there, where it's like it's simulating a character in a card or something.
Mm-hmm.
That has
Yeah.
its own rules, right? Like you're creating that world in its own. So what inspires you out of effects that you could put back in your effects? Like it could be anything, like dancing, for example.
Well, it is dancing, actually. Yeah, I do a lot of dancing.
Cool.
But like I don't like physically, like actually on the contrary, I take a lot of like animation principles and I add it to my dancing to make it look better. So it's the other way around. Yeah, dancing. I do a lot of art in general. I recently started to do prints. I'm super passionate about that now. Just overall, like painting the miniatures. That's also like what I love about.
Yeah.
But like all of the artistic stuff, it's like shape language. It's like using color. It's I don't know. Like even like with dancing, it's sort of like animation and timing. Like I guess all of the I would say a lot of the art mediums like share the basics also of like the visual effect. So sometimes when I'm just like creating random stuff, I feel like I'm also like progressing in visual effects. And I think it's like just a whole system of what I do that just like is really like related to one another.
What do you mean by that?
Like, I don't know, like, for example, you are painting and you're using a certain color, then you remember like color theory and how like color works with each other, and perhaps like you will be learning something for painting, but at the same time you could use like the same color schemes or something like on your visual effects.
Yeah.
Also, if that makes sense.
Also, color variation is a big one too. Like when you're actually painting and you're mixing the colors together, I feel like just now thinking about it. Before we dive into the next part of our conversation, I would like to take a quick moment to speak directly to you, the listener. This podcast exists to be accessible and free for everyone. Producing it takes time. If this conversation had ever provided you with a value or made you maybe feel less alone on your own creative path, please consider supporting its future. There are two ways to do that, and both would mean the world to me. Let's start with the first one. You can make a one-time donation on my PayPal or one that happens every month. This goes directly into keeping the mics and the conversation flowing. The second option is through affiliations with online education platforms. So if any of the conversation has sparked you to actually pursue a certain skill but you didn't know how to, I created a list that goes through the interests that I cover, such as Houdini, visual effects for films, visual effects for games, 3D modeling, Blender, animations, and so on. When you click on that list and you find the course that resonates with you, not only you get a special discount, but you're also directly supporting this podcast. So in a way to give back to you, you will learn something new, you'll get it for a discount, and you will help this channel grow and the mics flowing. Whichever path you choose to support this channel, every bit of support makes a tangible difference and is deeply appreciated. The links for both are on your screen right now and also in the description. Thank you so much for even considering it. Now, let's go back to the conversation. I don't use as much color variations, but I would see how when you're painting, you're thinking maybe the poison effect might have not just green, but like a slight shade of blue, or which will push your effect like that much further,
Yeah, for sure.
Because like they're in technical art, at least, like there's something when you're shading, for example. Animes do that a lot. They don't just take the color of the skin and they multiply it by a darker value. You can't do that. That is like completely not okay unless it has like its environment around it. Because usually always, like if you look at my skin, right, there's always like red, some blushing. My skin is yellow here. For example, here it's a bit redder in the value. If you take a color picker, it would literally change. Or here it's more blue because of the blue effect here, the blue light. So with our shaders, if we just implement things like and then multiply by 0.5 just to show like in this mask, make it give it a shadow. That is not enough. Like you really need to know what is the blend value, and that comes from you doing maybe anime art or whatever, doing some digital painting before. That knowledge comes from there.
Yeah.
So let's talk about creative energy, right? So like you said, dancing inspires you, art inspires you. But how do you prevent it from burnout? Because you literally are turning all the hobbies maybe and turning them into work. How do you just enjoy your hobby?
I don't know, like I still have this mindset. I feel like there are like, some activities that take away your energy, and then some activities that like really build you up. And, recently I've been just like sitting down and really thinking like what is important to me, like what is my purpose in life and everything, and like what I truly enjoy. And it was like dancing and like creative stuff. And I feel like when I do that, I never get tired. Maybe I have ADHD. I don't know. Like, so maybe something is wrong with me. But like, really, when I do stuff that I really, really love, it's just like it's never-ending energy. And also, very important stuff is you have to sleep, you have to eat healthy, and like work out. Like these stuff, like it really helps, guys. Like really take care of, like a good care of yourself, and then like you just have like this energy to give it to other people and your work, and I don't know, just like always growing. Yeah. Also, people. Try to not to be around toxic people. Like really, I don't know. Like tend to your environment. Like live in a clean environment. Like in your house as well. So like since I work remotely, I really try to keep everything tidy. And I was like a super messy person, but now I have like some systems that work for me that I actually keep it more clean.
It's actually a good coping mechanism with ADHD to clean like at least your desk, right? Like that's what I try to do here on my desk, but I keep
my desk is a mess now.
But it's good to have it clean because so two things. Like if you have your desk right on a window, you're more likely to be distracted by a bird or by something. So I literally changed to the wall, right?
Okay.
So I have nothing behind the screen, and everything in my desk literally points into the middle. So I have like design elements that even like point me to focus in the middle. And I clean it now more often because I noticed that I would be literally like grabbing something, right? Be like, I wonder where papers come from or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. It's very easy to get distracted.
And so what works for you in that sense? Like you keep it tidy, right?
Yeah, I try to keep it tidy. And, I also see like as a sign, if the environment around me gets a bit dirtier, then that means like maybe I need to be like make a break and just like calm down and clean myself. Clean not myself, but like the environment around me. Yeah.
How do you manage? Like you obviously mentioned working remotely, but working remotely can be hard with the sense of like building trust. How do you build trust with your teammates when you're working remote? Is it by, I don't know, like skills? Is that something that builds you trust?
Trust? Like, that's a good question. I never really thought about it. We just trust one another. I don't know. There is like in Tuatara, there's like a huge trust like between like Tuatara and just like everyone there. And between the client as well. So I never had to like double guess like somebody. I don't know. I think like we've been also like super lucky with each other. So yeah.
I think it's definitely different as a freelancer. So it's like the difference between having a studio behind your back, maybe talking for you at sometimes, like, or at some points, even before you're hired, right?
Yeah. I don't have to do anything. I'm just like, hey, Paulina, you're going to work on this project. Is that cool with you? I'm like, yeah, that's cool. And that's it. Like, I just start working. So cool. Tuatara takes care of us, like
that's ultimately
like everything,
the dream, like
really.
not to prove yourself all the time and just like be really good and focus on the craft. And you have also your peers that you're working with to help you maybe if you have any questions. Like
always you can write anyone. Everyone is just like super friendly.
It's the dream. I keep going back there, but like it is the dream. It's it reminds me of like old guild systems. I don't know if you ever heard about guilds.
What do you mean, like video game guilds or like?
Oh no, actual like real old guilds. Like for example, illustrators or painters used to be in a guild, right? So you have like a senior artist that used to make all those big paintings back in the day, and he or she would have a guild, right? So they would have like 20 junior painters, and so the senior is more likely to be hired, right? So what they do is like, instead of taking one offer a year, they would take 20 offers a year, and they would make 20 paintings a year, but they would do them with the help of like the junior mid-level painters. So what they would do is like, they would paint a smaller version of the painting, and they would divide it into like cubes. Oh, sorry. Can you still hear me? Yeah, into squares, right? So like 9 squares, or 12 or 64. Then the juniors would, or the junior mid-level, they would focus literally on the cubes, like the squares of that image. And they would copy it into a bigger painting. You would see those if you go to like what is it called? Like art museum? Like, what is it? I know the German word, but I don't know the...
What's a German word?
Don't put me on the spot there.
Come on.
I promised myself to never speak German on the podcast. But you get the idea. So like they can take more work, and Totara really reminds me of that like guild system, which I really...
that's so nice. Thank you for sharing this. Like I never like knew about it.
Actually, like that's how people used to learn a craft, right? Like that's how tables used to be made. That's how furniture used to be made. It was going through a guild, and it's really beautiful, because no matter what your skill, you can always go in and do the work, and you don't need this like 3 years of experience and had shipped 2 games. That's a junior. It's like, everybody has to start somewhere. But now these days, like especially in a hyper-capitalist society, it's like these how to say, like these demands are getting higher for juniors to a level where it's inhumane.
But wait a second, but also juniors are getting so much better, right? I see the junior work like today. I was like, whoa, like that's crazy. Like it puts me also like on the spot. Like what people like are doing these days is like really amazing stuff.
I have to stop you here, because there's a difference, right? You can do something that looks amazing, right? But it's different if it's even usable in the game. So we do have a lot of resources these days. That is correct. And everybody can get really good at it, right? Doing fan arts, maybe, doing their best effects from an anime or whatever. Resources are everywhere too. That's also an amazing thing. However, the actual work experience is lacking, right? And that is where I would wish for a system like the Guild, right? Where it's like, all right, obviously you can do cool stuff. Want to work with us? We'll show you how it's done. Then you can get those years of experience. We maybe not going to pay you a lot. Like you're not going to pay it like a senior or mid-level yet, but at least you will get the chance to be in the industry. I feel like if there's more of that, maybe entry will be a bit easier.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. It's really hard to get into the gaming industry, like the first like breakthrough. But like once you're in there, then it's like it's easier and easier like every year, I would say. Not right now. Definitely. Right now, like the industry as far is not in a bad place with all of the layoffs and everything. It's getting better, but like it's still a very tough time. So.
Yeah, I mean, I'm very careful about talking about those things in the sense of like, the sky is falling and the industry is going to, whatever. I just try to keep sharing the message of like, the oldest form of humanity were games. Like dice is one of the dice made of rocks, for example, or stones is one of the methods to know if a culture or a civilization even existed, right? And so. That said, games will always be there. So, and there will always be game developers, and there will always be the need to entertain, and there will always be the need to take a portal and get the F out of this like situation that you're in, or just to entertain yourself. So, yeah, games will exist. However, the question is, right? Will there be more Call of Duties? Right? Will there be more League of Legends type of game? Right? Games, which the industry is built upon. At some point, but the problem is you get similar games that are oversaturating the market and they're failing, although they've been put a lot of money into them. Like, what's the latest one? The Concord game. That a lot of people who played it said it's fun, But if you look at it and you put it like closer to another game that looks like it, Overwatch or whatever, and you squint your eye, maybe you remove your glasses, you're like, what is the difference?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I feel like the message here, for me at least, is if you have a unique style, right? If you bring something new to the table, a unique perspective, it could be even your life story. Right, you maybe don't come from the usual game dev background, right? Which is like Western, right? Like you went to computer science university, whatever, blah blah blah. If you bring in a unique perspective to things, you could even take that platform or this games or video games to a new level now. One example that gets mentioned a lot to me is that in the movie industry, in the film industry. There was like a specific way to make films, like in the 30s, where it's like, oh, a rich guy falls in love with a poor woman and they get married and everybody's happy, or like the opposite of that. But then Citizen Kane came over, right? And Citizen Kane is, I think, one of the creators didn't really know what is the industry standards or what were the industry standards of making a movie. So he literally brought in, new unique ways for lights. Basically, he made a composition a thing in films, because before it was like this performing art, right? Like because before movies, actors were trained on stages, so they would act in a way where even if you were far away, you would see them, and they would do the same thing in a movie. And for actors, like for films, right, you can't move that much. You can't do those things, right? Like I can't do that in front of the camera right now because I would be out of frame easily.
Yeah.
So what Citizen Kane did, it brought in this new unique perspective from someone who only worked with films and never with stages, right? So he was able to bring in this new way we make movies these days, and even like comics. Sorry about my rambling.
No, it's cool. I definitely enjoy it. Like it seems that you really know about like history and stuff, and like you go like into like specific topics, and I really love that. I love to listen to that.
Thank you. I think history repeats itself. Like those who don't learn from the history are doomed to repeat it. And I think the games industry has something to learn from that, which is like, yeah, let's learn from our history. What happened here, right? Like, why are we failing? And if you look at a game from PlayStation 1, like Gran Turismo, just throwing an example here, it could be Rayman or whatever. And then you look at a game from PlayStation 2, Gran Turismo 3, Gran Turismo 4, a huge graphical like difference, right? It's becoming more realistic. But then take a game from PlayStation 4 and a game from PlayStation 5, and it's like, it's more FPS, I guess, right? It's not that graphically we've been through it all. Like Mario, when it first started, it was literally pixels, so they had to think of how to make a game cool or a game fun in pixels. And then, Mario 3D became a thing, and now the question was like, how do we make a Mario 3D game, right? And that was pioneering into those new sections of graphics and new sections of tech. But now we kind of hit a wall, right? Do you feel the same?
Yeah, sort of. Yeah, the last years. I mean, like there has been advancement, but they're like not so like they're not like these leaps, I would say, that it was before. So yeah. It seems like it's evening out really, and even right now, like the indies like have so many tools and access like to better graphics. So sometimes it's even like harder to say like what has been created by who really.
That's a beautiful thing that indies can, like Exhibition 33 is Game of the Year, right? And they've done it. They're considered indie games. So the games industry is hitting a hard reset. Like that's what I'm seeing at the moment, right?
Yeah.
AAAs are maybe going into this like, does this game even make sense? Does it make sense to make Call of Duty 17,000 anymore? Because like, at one point, you made that one Call of Duty that was really good. You made that one RTS game that was extremely good. And if the bar is so high that the question is like, why should I buy Concord if I play Overwatch and I can't convince all my friends to buy a new game to play with me? And so maybe the structure there is wrong. And I feel like the new games that are actually making it are those who are mixing new ideas or experimenting or taking a huge risk or taking a leap that when people are getting their hands on those games, they're like, oh, that I've not seen that before. So back to the older discussion that we started this whole segue with. I think for artists who are maybe sad or maybe feeling like, oh, I can't go into this industry, it's so difficult. If you bring something new to VFX or to characters, meaning not only art inspired by art, but life art inspired by life put in games.
Yeah, exactly. Like your personal experience.
Yep.
And like for those who are listening and also like feeling down about the industry, like also everything goes in waves, and like some, like right now, like maybe we're just like a little bit lower, but it will all get better, and just like the cycle really repeats. And I've also like talked about this like with the older visual effects artists that we have at Tuatara, and they've also like told me about like a time in the industry which was like not that good, and then it got better, and just like always everything goes in waves essentially. So actually like it's the best time to start learning, if anything.
I agree. I like those moments when everybody like feel a bit stuck in something. Then it's really your chance now, if the competition is feeling down, to shine.
Yeah.
And your way of shining and your way of standing out, to be that optimistic person now, right?
Yeah, exactly.
When everybody's feeling down, the way to stand up is to be like, standing up and being optimistic and doing it despite all odds, right? Then you will get that like it's very general advice though, but like if you want to stand out, do anything to stand out. I guess that's my advice here. Yeah, vulnerability is a big thing, I think, in working with teams. So things where you're maybe asking yourself, can I really do that? Do you communicate those thoughts?
Yes. Just because, I don't know, I just like share or like do a disclaimer if I'm not very confident about something, and I just voice that out. And usually just people saying like, nah, it's going to be fine. Like if anything, like I will help you. Wow. And even like something like this just calms me down. So also like at Tuatara, we're always like for transparent communication. So that. Like if anything, like if you have any doubts or any concerns, you can always voice them out, and everyone just like understands and discuss everything. I think it's like a bigger problem if you feel something or like you feel bad emotions and like you keep them inside, because that creates problems, especially when you're working with other people. Like you might hold a grudge, like somebody did something and like you don't feel all right. So it's always just better to talk it out. I mean, it's just like a general communication thing. Like it doesn't matter if you're in games or just like in life. It's always like it's harder to be vulnerable, but also the rewards are always, I don't know, like the best. Or at least like you get the truth.
I try to like refrain from common sense advice, but because like what's common sense to you might not be common sense to someone else, because like exactly. We all have different upbringings and different cultures maybe that we come from. So I do agree. I think it's a skill to develop, and if you've developed it before in your life, or you had the ecosystem to develop it early in your life, that is so good. I still think it's worth talking about. And the reason I bring it up is because I feel ego comes in the way a lot.
Yes.
A lot of the times. And you're just not a good person to work with, in my honest opinion, if every interaction with you is about your self-worth.
Yeah, okay, that's a good discussion that we're going to have. Like it also like depends, because like I'm from Lithuania, so like in general we tend to keep things for ourselves. Like if you are sad or anything like that, you just like we joke that like depression does not exist here, and like in those like post-Soviet countries, like there is still a stigma about these things. But yeah, like I do get your point. If you're always like, if you have so much emotions that you cannot keep them under control and you're really doubting like everything, then yeah, like I don't know, it's like a difficult thing to tackle. But then you are being sort of like I don't want to say I mean, you sort of like are a problem in the team, and it doesn't necessarily mean that someone else have to go in and calm you, but you really have to, as a good artist, you have to like regulate your own nervous system and your own doubts. So like you also have to do a lot of work with yourself.
Yeah, yeah, and also like no one actually teaches you the stuff, right? Like
Yeah,
again, if
that's
you
true.
maybe it's common sense for someone to not think like that, but no one really talks about it. And I think like that's where this podcast can actually help someone if more people talked about those common sense things. And it's like I get it, as an artist you feel like you have ownership for your art, and you should have ownership for your art and ownership and accountability for delivering your art as well.
Yeah.
However, what's the best for the project might be not the best for, the way you feel about your art. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, this like happens like a lot of times, especially if you're working with a client, for example. Like you personally think that something like else would suit better or like is more prettier,
Yeah.
but the client wants another thing, and that's the thing. Like you have to cater to the client because it's like his order. So sometimes you do have to like put aside your references and your feelings, and really like I feel like what's really important is to not identify with your work. I would say like have like this, like your personality and everything is not like only your work and this career, I would say. Because previously like I used to identify myself for like, oh, I'm a visual effects artist and like this is the most important thing that I do in my life. And so when I used to receive some kind of feedback, I would sometimes get very personal with it, like because it felt like somebody was attacking my personality.
Got it.
Because I made something, I messed up, and it's not really healthy. Like you have to have like some kind of boundaries with the work, and especially when you're working, you have to be like more detached, I would say, because like things like as you develop something, they change a lot. So like not getting attached also to your work is really like a good advice, I would say.
It's I think like it's such a fine line, right? Because what inspires art is the artists, or like what I'm trying to say is like the art come from the artists, right? Like it's the origin. So if you completely lost connection with your art, then in a way you're a machine, and if you're a machine, then you're replaceable. So it's really tough these days. Like I get your advice and I give it, and I think I gave it away before, but now when I notice like, all right, I kind of feel empty, I kind of feel like I'm just focusing on pleasing others, right? I'm losing my identity in a way, right? And so I'm looking into more into the section of self-expression. Like what do I want to say, right? Like what do I want people to hear me do or see me do? And art has a lot of expression, right? You have the opportunity to change someone's mind about a certain topic, or you have the opportunity to express yourself with your art. So it is a fine line. But how do you differentiate, right? Like what is client work and where is the time for you to do, like to say what you want to say? And for me, it works with saying, all right, so that's commercial work. I'm working as a commercial artist right now. I'm making a commercial game, right? And that you could work on your personal project that is not commercial, that is maybe just purely artistic expression. In the beginning of my career, I did exactly that. When I was 19, I was really young, and I've done that so much that I had this, when you eat food and you feel like full, I felt like completely fulfilled artistically speaking. So I started doing this like just commercial way to like market my art, or like talk about my art, or show it to other people, and like do streams when I'm doing my art. At one point I feel like I lost my expression.
Okay.
I don't know if you ever felt like that.
Yes, I sort of did. But like also I felt like it really depends on the project that you're working with. Because I remember when I was working at the indie studio Golem House, we used to create RPG games, and there were like 4 of us actively, like the core members working. So we had a lot of more like ability to express yourself and your ideas, because like you were the one who's making all of the visual effects, all of the calls, like the whole direction, everything. So you just like naturally you express yourself more through that. But if you're put into like a AAA game, like you have a very specific thing that you have to work on. So the expression is less, I would say, because I don't know. I was also thinking about like what is art, and in English art is art, but in my language, in Lithuanian, we have like different meanings for art, because we have art which is like art that like, I don't know, like you put your expression into it, and more like something that is called a craft.
Oh yeah. But that's such a lovely way to put it.
Oh, thank you. But like really, when I look into like visual effects, I see it more of it as a craft, because sometimes like, you know, you might feel a lot of emotions, and it's very hard to like to channel yourself through some trails, right? Or just like simple like visual effects. So for that, I either have my own personal projects, or I might like take clients that like have like a more creative vision, or just like really take that expression and just put it out like through dancing or like other mediums.
Definitely, that like different outlets. 100%. I agree with you there. That's why like the podcast exists, and like just content creations as a whole, like for me is just to be able to like scream in a way that like, hey, I feel this way about this thing. And if someone is listening or not listening or whatever, like that is the last of my concern. I just want to get it out of my chest. You know what I mean?
I definitely understand you.
And just like not letting it out to the void, but having a conversation with someone about it, and knowing sometimes that, all right, I'm not the only one here. Right, it helps a lot. It just helps just keep going and do the commercial work, right? In the end, we're just like social creatures, and we need like our outlets. I don't know, like I feel like AI will not be able to replace that in any sense. Like these moments of doubts, basically at one point, the sadness or this way of like despair kind of feels like the next creative thing you want to do.
For sure.
Yeah. And I do advocate as well for more studios maybe giving the ability or giving more ownership to their artists, because I think that is key. But in the end, if the commercial purpose is not being fulfilled.
That's true.
Back to the point of craft, right? There's difference. Yeah. It's interesting how different languages see it, because like for me, languages, if you think about it, they're just problem solving tools, right? But each one is different in the way they do the problem solving. So like I can speak 3 languages, right? I speak Arabic, German, and English. And I find myself sometimes, if I talk Arabic to myself, I find that I could like solve a problem differently, just because of the grammar maybe, or just because of the way you express it. It's different.
Yeah, it is for sure.
Do you also have the same?
Yeah, like I for sure, like the problem solving, but even how I express myself, like me in English, I feel like more happy and like out there. But like when I'm speaking Lithuanian, I'm more like, I don't know. I don't think that I smile that much. I think it's like merging better, but for sure, like English like brings out the more happy person out of me.
Wow, that's cool, because I also feel the same way. I feel the exact same way, and that is why English is the only thing I talk. Like earlier, I was like, I'm not gonna say the German word, because it's just when I speak German, I just feel super like technical about things.
Yeah.
It's the last thing you want on a podcast.
Right.
But English definitely it helps me somehow express myself, like where other languages might feel like I'm being put in a box or jailed. Like I feel like very limited in a way.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, I have the same thing, but maybe because like, I don't know, for me, it sometimes feels like it is like some sort of safety, I guess. I don't know. I feel like there's like more expression and freedom to create something else that is not like very rooted to your maybe past as well.
Yeah.
At least like for me, I don't know.
I think that is actually a pretty nice way to put it, because you're still you're getting that dopamine rush from still exploring yourself in the language, right? Like who is Paulina in English, right?
Yeah.
Is she like a happy person or like a bubbly person or so? Also, I feel that it also is a huge factor who taught you the language, right? So if you picked it up through maybe a sad person, you're more likely to be sad, right? If you got taught from games, then maybe that's where the bubbliness comes from, right? Etc. Things like that. I feel maybe that's why we feel more comfortable, is because we learned that language just through doing things that we like. Like with Arabic, for me, I've not really learned it from something that I really wanted to do, more like was forced to do, such as school and, you know, my parents forcing me to do stuff. But English, I was completely free. It was completely me, and it was completely my identity, if that makes sense.
Okay, that's nice.
Yeah. All right, so we are reaching the end. Is there anything you would like to tell people, advice maybe, or where they can find you or anything?
Okay. Well, you can find me on LinkedIn. Don't be afraid to drop a message. I always like to write people back. And of course, my site, paulinavfx.com. Go there. I have some presentations, tutorials and stuff. And a message, like, I don't know, just a simple message that life doesn't have to suck and you can make it better. And keep reaching your dreams and you will get there. And I don't know, just stay positive, stay smiling, and everything will get better.
That's cool. That will be the quote for the episode. Life doesn't have to suck.
Yeah, right?
It's perfect. All right. Thank you so much for being here. And yeah, everybody, if you liked it, as always, leave a like, subscribe, whatever, reach out to us, reach out to Paulina, and we'll leave all the links that we talked about today in the description below. All right, everybody, have a good one.